An evening at Alpha is divided into three parts, really. It begins with a meal, which guests are welcomed into a very friendly, warm, non-threatening environment. And then after the meal, we transition into a talk, which is a time of teaching on some aspect of the Christian faith. And thirdly, the last aspect is the small group experience. And it's in the small group that guests that don't receive more teaching. Instead, it's a time for them to interact with one another and to share their opinions and their thoughts. And together, these three elements make up what the Alpha experience is. The meal for fellowship, the talk for teaching, and the small group experience for building up relationships. Well, the great thing about Alpha is that it's for anyone. When we run our courses, typically we'll have courses of 50 to 60 people, and 50% of the people on my course will be people from my church. And the other 50% will be people from all over the place. There'll be people who have fallen away from church. There'll be Christians of other backgrounds, and sometimes non-believers. And there's a real mixture, and that's the beauty of Alpha, is that it's able to reach people from a diversity of backgrounds. I love it when people who come to Mass every week actually come to take the Alpha course, because often people who have never taken the step to get involved in a program like that before, they'll come and they discover something new, and they go from being pew-dwelling Catholics to being really active in their faith. They get turned on and they get filled with the Spirit, and their lives are changed. And people will say to me, you know, I've been coming to church all my life and I never got it until now. And now they come alive, they want to come back and work on the team. They join other ministries, they begin to pray, to read, to study, and they develop a real appetite for the things that they've been around their entire lives. So for people who are actually outside of the church, who have no church background, first of all, when they experience Christ in a new way, they want to go deeper. But they also experience Christian community for the first time, and they want to belong. And so it's not uncommon for them to ask to be baptized. And so we'll bring them to a program that will get them ready to be received into the church at the Easter Vigil. One of the great things about the Alpha course is it appeals and attracts all kinds of people. And when we run our courses, we find that 40 to 50% of our guests tend to be young people, tend to be people in their 20s, and the rest of the guests tend to be spread across the different age groups. My church is situated in a busy corner, and we have a sign, and every time we run the Alpha course, we put up on our sign that the Alpha course is taking place. And a couple of years ago, a young lady was going by the church on a bus, and she read the sign. And she had grown up in the church, she'd been away from the church for years, and she called, and she came, she took the course, and on the Alpha course she gave her life to Christ, she came to faith. And the next course she brought her boyfriend, and he was baptized last year. And that's the kind of thing that happens in the Alpha course. People come, they have their lives changed, they bring their friends, and the effect continues from there. Although it's not necessary, it's important for the priest that least drops into the Alpha course that he encourages the team, that he welcomes the guests. He doesn't have to be involved in anything more than that. However, for me, I find it very enriching for me to actually take part in the course. So I will be there at the beginning of the night, I'll pray with the team, and I also lead a small group. Because I love seeing up front what God is doing through the Alpha course in my parish. Alpha, in a sense, presents the gospel in a very simple way. It gives people the opportunity to respond to the person of Jesus Christ. And we know that there's much more to the story, but it's a beginner's course. And so that's the thing about the Alpha course, that it can serve that role. And in our tradition, we have distinguished between evangelization and catechesis. And we know by experience that trying to give people catechesis who have not come to know Christ in a personal way is like trying to plant seeds in concrete. It doesn't work. We also know by experience that when people come alive in their faith, when they've come to know Christ, they become hungry, they become thirsty for more. And so that's when catechesis can take place. My experience in Alpha is that when people come to know Christ, when they are filled with the Holy Spirit, the sacraments take on a new sense of meaning to them. They come and they say, I've never experienced the Mass the way that I have now since I've done the Alpha course. It's interesting that, we believe that the Eucharist, for instance, is the source and the summit of our Christian lives. However, if our only experience of Christian living is Sunday Mass, 1 hour a week, it's going to be a very low summit. It has to be the summit of something. And Alpha allows that to happen. It re-energizes people. People have a new vision of what their faith can be. They begin to pray. They begin to experience Christian community in a new way, and therefore the Eucharist can take its proper place. After Alpha in my parish, we use a resource that I actually created about 5 years ago, and it's a follow-up course, a Catholic follow-up course to the Alpha course called Catholicism 201. It's called Catholicism 201 because it imitates the names of courses that are taken in the universities. If a first-year course is called 101, a second-year course is called 201. So its premise is that Alpha, in a sense, is Catholicism 101. And it presents a variety of topics that are not covered in the Alpha course. The course runs similarly to the Alpha course in that we ask people to have the meal and the talks and the small groups as well. And the course was created directly to begin where the Alpha course left off. To be Catholic is to be ecumenical. We're told that by our church, that we must work for Christian unity. And in John's Gospel, we hear the prayer of Jesus where he says, "Father, may they be so one that the world may believe." So that our ability to proclaim Christ, our ability to evangelize, or the effectiveness of our evangelization is going to be in some ways proportional to the unity that we reflect to the world. One of the great gifts of Alpha to the church is that it is an instrument and means for unity, without compromising our distinctiveness, but focusing us together on the person of Christ. And in that way, it has helped to reduce the barriers that have separated us for too long. Quite simply, what really excites me about Alpha is the impact that it has in people's lives. I haven't found any other program that gives the bang for the buck that Alpha does. And as a pastor, busy with limited time, I want to put my resources of people and time into something that really works. And Alpha does that. Alpha has slowly changed my parish from the ground up. It's changed it most significantly by the fact that I think by now 1/3 of my parishioners have come through the Alpha course, and so their lives have been personally renewed. It's not that they didn't have faith before, but their faith has been strengthened, has been renewed. It's also moved our parish from being very inward focused to being mission focused. Now we're still got a long way to go, but compared to where we were a number of years ago, it's vastly different. And it's made our parish a really exciting place, I think, because it's also transformed the way that we experience Mass on weekends. It's changed for some of our Masses the way that we do music, and it's created a whole new layer of leadership people within the parish, people who have become motivated to grow in their faith and to become mature in their faith, and feel a compunction to serve and to give back. Anyone who's thinking about running Alpha, I'd say just run it, just do it. There are certainly many resources out there to help you, but get your hands on materials, get a team together and just start doing it and watch God work.